Float season is officially here. I don't know if you noticed this, but I am just absolutely pumped right now. Phil is in the water. Took a little bit to get him in the water, right about 4 or 5 days before the official start of the season. Some kids were out here partying, and apparently they hit Phil's float with a hammer or an object that was pretty hard because it actually broke the front cleat off. Thanks to my good friends over at Acme Cub, they got me going pretty darn quickly. They got Phil done over a weekend. They actually broke their float truck in the process of this whole thing, so I'm pretty sure I owe a good bottle of whiskey to Steve and the guys over at Acme Cub. Today, we're gonna go shake the cobwebs out. So today, we're gonna climb in Phil. We're gonna go depart Lake Hood. We're gonna fly out to Wasilla, and I'm feeling pretty hungry right now, and instead of just having lunch here in town, I figured, why not go fly out to Wasilla and go have some lunch at Qdoba? So, into the plane, let's get going.
I'm gonna make it to the top. Share it with the world. I'm gonna take whatever's mine.
Alrighty, let's get some weather.
1853 Zulu, wind 310 at 7, visibility 10, ceiling 3,300 overcast, temperature 7, dew point 2, altimeter 3002. Western use
3002 on the altimeter.
Contact, you have Sierra.
And we have Sierra. All right, so we're gonna go through a standard warm-up procedure in this. She's pretty cold today. So I'm gonna keep it nice and low on the RPMs, take care of my engine. I know a lot of people gave me a pretty hard time after the last video because they couldn't comprehend how we leave our airplane outside in Alaska, especially with the weather that we have and the winters. And one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand, especially if they're flying in the lower 48, it's very difficult to get hangar space up here. And so I would say 90 to 95% of all aircraft get left outside during the wintertime. It is a very, very common practice here. If the lake freezes before we can get the aircraft out of the water, there is no way to get it to a launch ramp. There is also no way to get it onto a trailer to get it to my hangar or to get it off of its floats. And so last year was kind of one of those years where we didn't get to it in time because it literally froze. The lake froze overnight. And so we ended up leaving ours outside. We try not to. Most years we don't. But last year, unfortunately, we didn't have a choice. So we did winterize it, and then it sat for the winter. And we had our annual this year, and it did very, very well. So all is well. All right, so the plan of attack today is we're going to do what's called a west route northbound departure. So Lake Hood is the busiest seaplane base in the world. It is absolutely awesome to operate out of. However, it comes with its own set of regulations. Now, this airport specifically, the seaplane base, it actually has a runway as well as multiple water lanes. And it also operates right next door to Anchorage International. So a lot of what we have to deal with has to do with Anchorage International. So today we're gonna go northbound, and as I'm looking out the window right now, I'm seeing that Anchorage International is departing the 7s. So they'll be departing away opposite direction of us. We're gonna be going out northbound. Usually they depart 3-3, and when they depart 3-3, we parallel the 747s as they depart Anchorage International. Get some tunes on here. I like flying with music. Some people don't. I do. Plane feels ready to fly today. I'm gonna go ahead and call tower. Let them know I'm warming up out here. Lake Hood Tower, flow pacer 7016 Bravo, warming up in front of the lakefront. We'll be looking for a west departure northbound. We've got Sierra.
For 7016 Bravo, Lake Hood Tower, advise ready west.
Give you a shout, ready west, 16 Bravo. All right, we got our oil temperature, we got our oil pressure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start coming up and starting to do my, so we're gonna pull back on the yoke. And we're gonna start doing our standard checks, check our magnetos. 1 is good. 2, got the drop. Going carb heat. Carburetor heat is good. Come back off. Back to about 1,000 RPM. So one of the things about float planes is you have to keep your RPM pretty low when you're taxiing on around the water, because the last thing you want to do is get spray coming up and hitting your prop. That's how you damage your prop pretty quickly. Everything's in the green, no warning lights. And Lake Tower, float pacer 16 Bravo, ready to go west.
Pacer 16 Bravo, Lake Tower west, clear for takeoff.
West, clear for takeoff, 16 Bravo.
Lake Tower, Cessna 22250, we're power line bed for the strip with Sierra.
Cessna 22250, Lake Tower for the ballpark for 32.
We'll go ahead the ballpark for 32250.
Alright, we are on step, finding our sweet spot. There it is. Wave hi to the tourists as we go by. Hey guys. We're gonna keep that first notch of flaps in until we've cleared our obstacles. It's kind of a weird way to think about it, but whenever I'm over land in a float plane, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And whenever I'm over water in a float plane, I'm totally cool. And it's so weird when you're used to flying land-based aircraft and all of a sudden you're okay with being over water. It just feels weird. Traffic, white, yellow float pacer. We're coming up on the McKenzie docks at 700. All right, so the plan of attack for me is to get back over the water. So we're gonna kind of come up, we're avoiding Elmendorf Air Force Base's airspace now. So the cool part about Alaska is we have a ton of airports. In the Anchorage area, we have a ton of airports. So we have Elmendorf Air Force Base, we have Bryant Army Airfield, we have Merrill Field, we've got Lake Hood, we have Anchorage International, and that's all within about 5 miles. So tons of aircraft all in the same vicinity, all doing the same thing. And then you mix in military and heavy jets in with that, and it makes it kind of sporty out here. The way that I usually fly is I fly odd altitudes. I'm usually below 1,000 feet out here, and that's just the way I like to fly. You get a lot of the training aircraft, they go up into the 2,500, 3,000 feet, but most of us that, most people hang are right around 1,000. So I give myself a little bit of differentiation from everybody else, and I stay right around 700 to 800 feet while I'm out here, and that's MSL, because everything we do out here is at sea level until you get into the mountains. Now I know for a lot of you that fly in the lower 48, you think 700 feet, wow Brett, you don't have a lot of room to do anything. And for the record, I'm from Southern California. I'm used to, the 3,500 minimum altitudes, and so it took a little getting used to, and now I'm very comfortable low. I'd rather be low. All right, so we're gonna come right over the inlet here, and we're just gonna cruise along the inlet all the way out to Wasilla. We're gonna go land on Wasilla Lake and go get a little lunch. One of the things I should have considered before I took off was whether or not Wasilla Lake was thawed. But I think it is, and if it's not, we have other places we can go. But I'll be honest, I'm getting really hungry.
43031, channel, hey flat, with the Birchwood,
Valley Track. traffic, white yellow float pacer just north of Goose Bay or over the inlet at 500. All right, so as you guys saw before I departed, I put my music on. For those of you that are pilots, I want you to comment in the comments below. Well, if you listen to music when you're flying, what music do you listen to? Like, what is in your playlist for flying? Getting a little bit of wind out of the Matanuska today. It's kind of crazy. So we got, you know what, that might be coming out of Connect.
To the south.
It feels like we got a little bit of wind coming out of the Connect, but then if you look a little further up, we got wind going the opposite direction. So we're gonna get a little bit of change in direction on us here. Yeah, so we talk music while flying. I have changed 4 different genres in just this flight in my headset. So thankfully, our amazing editor, John, knows not to do stuff like that while editing. He makes a playlist for you guys that is way more enjoyable for most people than what is playing in my headset at any given time.
I don't wanna stop at the casino. I don't wanna stop and see the broken lights. I wanna stay down your broken face. I wanna break down in your embrace.
So the plan of attack here is we're going to come into Wasilla Lake, we're going to do an orbit over the top of Wasilla, and we're going to analyze what is going on the lake. Now, one of the things I was taught back when I did my float rating, and you see I have checklists up in this airplane to remind me because I switch between aircraft so frequently. So we have what's called a woods check. And a woods check is we check the winds on and around the lake. We check the obstacles around the lake. We check the obstacles on the water. We check the depth of the lake. And then we analyze the size of the lake. So depth is one of those things that's very, very difficult to analyze. And so you really do need to have a general idea of where you're going into. There are some key indicators that I personally look for. If it's too shallow, I can see that usually from the air. But to be very frank, I go into lakes that I know and not into lakes that I'm not very familiar with. If I go into a lake that I'm unfamiliar with, I'm going to reach out to local pilots and friends of mine that have gone into that lake just to verify that it is the depth that I think it is. And then obviously you can do that, a little bit of research from the air. Later in the season, you have things on the water like lily pads that will help you determine depth. But for right now, we're kind of getting serious here because the lake is approaching. I'm going to make a left-hand orbit over the top of it and kind of analyze the situation. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of do a little reconnaissance over the top of this. I want to make sure that it is good.
I wanna merge with your beating heart. Oh, look at it go.
I'm gonna do one more orbit because the more I look at it, the more I am thinking that it is actually coming out of the, I think it's coming the other way. So we're gonna be landing west. This is why a good orbit will help you. Alrighty, we are set up to land. First notch of flaps is in. We are going to be landing to the west. We've checked our winds. We've checked our obstacles around the lake. We've checked our obstacles on the lake. We know the depth of this lake. We are getting some gusts, so I am actually really grateful that I am landing this direction. And then we also know the size of this lake. So we are good to land. I'm going to set us up. All right, base. Second notch of flaps. We'll be pulling carb heat here in just a second. Carb heat. This was a good decision. All right, carb heat coming back in.
Alrighty, nothing like a quick little walk over to Qdoba. Let's go get a burrito. Alrighty, burrito is secured. Go eat this back at the plane to make sure it doesn't float away on me. Well, mission accomplished. I can't complain about this. Alrighty, burrito finished. Time to get back in the air, go do a couple more splash and goes, and then get home. Let's go see how this takes off out of Wasilla.
One life. Yeah, we only have one life. Life is way too short. The clock is ticking down. We only have one chance. Let's dance to it.
All right, let's get back to where we need to go. Now, Wasilla traffic, YL flow pacer departing Wasilla Lake to the west.
One life, one life. One life, one life.
All right, carb heat,
One life.
water runners up. Here we go.
One life, one life. Yeah, we only have one life.
All right, first of the second notch is out by Qdoba.
One life. One life, one life. Yeah, we only have one life.
Naked Tower, flow pacer 16 up Bravo. We are the overpass.
Pacer 16 Bravo, west, cleared to land.
West, clear to land, 16 Bravo. Alrighty, thanks for joining in on yet another adventure. I know we just ran out and got a little fast food today, but you don't understand how awesome it is to be back in the float plane, back on the water. And just in my head, I have so many incredible destinations that we're going to be going to this year. We're going to be doing some fly fishing off of the floats. We're going to take the helicopter out and do some helicopter fishing. We have camp trips planned. We have so much in store, and we'd love to have you along the way. So if this is the kind of content that you enjoy, or if you're really into fishing and want to see the kind of crazy stuff that we go take this airplane or the helicopter into, by all means, we'd love to have your subscription. Come join in on the journey. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button. I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. If you want to see another one of our videos, YouTube is probably going to recommend one here for you right now. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next adventure.